Hey, there's a subject that I want to talk about today. And me being somebody that worked in the trades all of my youth, I want to talk about this thing that's really important. And it applies to any type of job, but it's I'm going to talk about the trades because that's what I did. That's my experience. And this is for the young people out there, for the young guys. I know it's very hard to be a 20-year old, a 19-year old, an 18-year old, a 21-year old out in the field. I know how difficult it is because I done it, I lived it, and I know that a lot of older guys like myself don't really understand what's going on and why things happen the way they happen right now. But at the same time, you guys also don't understand the other side of the coin. So I wanna address this issue, and this relates to anybody working in anything, whatever they're doing. If you're young, I know you're gonna relate with this. If you're a parent, I hope you can relate to what I'm saying and remember back when you were in those ages, early 20s and teens, and started working. And this is something that I want to talk about because it's a question that I got on one of my YouTube pages on my Spanish YouTube channel. I've got this question. This young man, he's 20, and he's telling me, you know what? Every time I get a new job, I start, I give him 100%. Then things go downhill really fast. I start getting upset when my supervisors, scold me or tell me what to do, and then I start having problems with my coworkers, and eventually I end up leaving my jobs. He says, and he does say in his comment, he says, and I know I'm wrong. So just him acknowledging that there's a problem and that he knows it's wrong, there's no point in me going back and telling him you need to do this, and that because he already knows that. That's something he already knows. That's something that it'd be a waste of my time and his time telling him you got to be punctual, you got to do this, you got to do that. I don't want to go there. I want to talk about what it is to be when you're 20. I'll go back a little bit further. I got a 15-year-old daughter, and every time I talk to her, anytime we have a conversation, when I want to have a conversation with her, it's got to be at her level, at her age. I can't be the 45-year-old dad telling her, that's not important, and that's not important, and that's not important, and that's not important. Because in her 15 years of life that she has, those things are actually important. Looks are very important. Clothes is very important. What her friends, say about her is really important. Even though at my age, in my opinion, that doesn't matter. But to her age and to her experience, that really matters. So anytime I talk to her, I have to transport myself back to when I was in high school to think about how things used to actually really be in my mind. Because the world is changing. Actually, the world never changes. The only thing that changes is how we see it. So when I was 15 years old, I saw it much different than I do right now. Now, I'm going to transport myself back 25 years to when I was 20 years old and I was working. And now, at this point, I can have a conversation or give some advice to this gentleman that asked me that question. Or I think he just wants advice. Not really a question. He just wants advice. My best advice is don't take it personal. It's not personal. It's not against you. And every job you go to, the same thing's gonna happen. And this is what happens when you're at that age. And unfortunately, there's no way around it unless you're the boss's son or daughter or nephew or something. Then maybe there's a way around it. But most commonly, it's just the way it is. See, what happens is, let's say, for example, you find a plumber and his helper, right? And they show up to a job site. The plumber says, I need you to dig here, trench all this, and they find the pipe, dig it out, cut it out, and then measure it. And the plumber may be a fat guy. Just once the trench is done, he'll go sit in there and he'll just make some connections. And at the end of the day, the young man may be thinking, man, I could have done the connections. That was the easy part. I mean, that's nothing. I could have done that. I did all the measuring. I did all the digging. I did all the work. And then at the end of the day, the plumber makes the more money, and he gets all the credit. The helper didn't get no credit, and they'll still tell him, you know what? If you don't like it, you can step out, and we'll find somebody else tomorrow. So even though the helper did most of the help, and the plumber did, or most of the work, and the plumber did less of the work, the plumber got all the credit and got most of the money. Now, is that fair? Yes, it is fair. It's not fair when you're the 20-year-old. It doesn't seem fair because you're only looking at half the coin. You got to look at the other side of the coin, but you can't see it from where you're at. So eventually one day you'll see it. Eventually one day you'll be 50 years old and you'll get a contract and it's a plumbing job and you got to, replace a water line. And you're going to think to yourself, man, I don't want to dig this thing. I'm going to charge so much. I'm going to hire a young man to do the digging. I'll just pay him to dig it and I'll put the line in and then he'll cover it up. So when you're the 50-year-old man, you're just paying the young man to do the digging. You're not hiring a plumber necessarily. You're hiring somebody to do the digging. But when you're the 20-year-old, you're thinking, man, I'm a plumber too. I'm already here. I know what's got to get done. So I need to get paid like he's getting paid. So it's not fair right now to you. And I don't want to discourage anybody because that's not what this video is about. This video, I don't want to discourage anybody that's young into thinking, well, life is unfair or nothing like that. At the same time, I don't want to encourage anybody to quit their job either because it doesn't matter where you go. It's going to be the same. It's just the way it is. When you're at that age, when you're starting to work, it's really hard. You're going to have a supervisor, no doubt, a manager or somebody that's going to see you make a mistake. You're going to make it in front of them. And then later on, they'll still blame you for it. They'll say, well, you should have known better. And you'll be thinking, man, you were there. You're standing there. You could have told me. It doesn't work that way. See, the manager, the supervisor, they're never going to take the blame. They're always going to blame the blame on somebody below them. That's nature. That's nothing that manager, that supervisor decided. It's just the way it is. Now, in life, we want to start having the good job and making the big bucks. We all wish that. I mean, I remember when I was looking for my first job, I wanted something easy, something that was good, that I worked Monday to Friday, that paid good, and that hopefully I could be clean all the time. Well, everybody else was looking for the same thing, but unfortunately, that job's really not really out there. There is some of it or the other part, but all the requirements that you're hoping for, if it was just right there waiting for you, somebody else with more experience would have already got it. So that's not going to be waiting for you just like that. You're going to have to work your way up to that job. There's no way around it. I wish there were. Is it fair? Yes. Does it seem fair right now? No. But is it against you personally? No. It's not against you. It's not against your person. And now I don't want to discourage anybody. I'll say the other part of it. That's the reason why a lot of young people, they don't last at a job. And this part is something that I want to remind the older people to don't forget to give the young people credit too. If you're doing all the work, you're the young guy, you're doing all the work, you're getting none of the credit and you're just getting yelled at and blamed for everything, of course you're going to quit. Now, if you're a boss or a parent or a manager or a foreman or whatever, give your workers credit. Give them credit. Keep them around. Lift them around. It's hard enough as it is. They're going to get blamed, and you know it, and we know it. Listen, when I was 20 years old, actually a little bit younger, but when I was a concrete helper, I remember I used to go to big pours because I always did commercial concrete, so we were in a big pour. And I remember the journeyman finishers or the older finishers would just be standing to the side, and all of us apprentices and laborers would be in there pouring concrete, mucking concrete all night long, 2 in the morning, all the way to 9 or 10 in the morning, pouring concrete, pulling, rotting, and doing this and that and the other. And the finisher was standing to the side, maybe smoking a cigarette or drinking some coffee or whatever. And then I remember, because this happened a few times, and then I'd see a finisher hitting edges, and I could tell where he didn't catch them and they got hard. And they would come, hey, come here. Hit the edges from there on. You know, the edge of the concrete where it hits the form. And I could already tell it was hard. I'd tell him, you know what? You already lost it, man. You want me to hit that edge, and then you're going to say, well, it was good up to where I hit it. Then where I left it to you, you lost it. I knew he wanted to blame me. I knew what he wanted to do, and I would call him up and tell him, you know what? That's your edge, man. If you want to fire me, go ahead and fire me, but don't blame me for the edge that you lost while I was over there mucking concrete, pouring concrete, pulling straight stakes and forms and cleaning this and rotting and all that. Now, you didn't catch the edge. It's your fault. But they'll do it to young people. I mean, I saw it over years. I've been seeing it over years where the young person gets blamed for everything that's going on, everything that happens wrong. Well, of course, the older people that got more experience, they're not gonna take the blame. Why would they? They'll just say, "Well, I told him to do it. He didn't do it." And that's why I understand young people. It's not that easy. I know it's not that easy. I know. I remember I can transport myself back in time. And I remember, it's not that easy. It is hard being young. It is unfair. It really is unfair. It really is. You're going to get blamed for a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that the manager could have changed, didn't change, and then they're never going to take the blame. They'll say, well, you should have known better. And it is hard. But my advice is, don't quit because of that. Don't quit because of that, because you're going to go to the next place, and it's going to be hard too, and then other places are going to be hard too. The only way it becomes easier is with time. And even though it seems unfair, it's more to the worker's advantage, because you're only going to be 20, 21, 22, 25, 28 once. I mean, let's say 10 years of your 40 years of working, you're going to be the young guy, or woman or whatever. Then one day you're going to be the more experienced. I realize, for example, when I go to work, I've been working so many years. I have, quite a bit of experience. They're going to treat me different than they're going to treat a 20-year-old. Even without knowing our experience or just day one, they're going to treat us different. It's just the way it is. They're going to send them to do the crappy jobs that they're not going to want to send me. They're going to say, well, we don't want to lose this guy. Well, we'll send this guy. And I know it. And I know it's not fair if you're the 20-year-old. It's really not fair. It's not fair right now, but eventually it becomes fair. And that's the way life is. It's like when you want to have something, like say you want to buy a phone. It's really easy to go get a phone and then pay it little by little. But in work, it doesn't work that way. In the work life, it's different. You have to first have the money for the phone, or in this case, have the experience and the years doing it to be recognized as somebody that knows what you're doing before you actually know what you're doing. So it's not easy. I don't want to discourage anybody, but at the same time, I just want to tell you guys, it's not personal. It's not that somebody's got something against you or because of you or your whatever the situation is. It's just the way it is. It's not that they don't like you as a person. It's just at that age, it's gonna be hard. But don't give up. Eventually, it's gonna get better and better every year. Every experience you have, it's gonna just become easier and easier. Also, to the parents, I'm gonna tell you guys, have patience on them. They aren't right. Sometimes they tell me they're just blaming me for everything. They aren't right. Remember, when you were 20 years old, they used to do that to you too. We forget about it. Now we become really strict. We say, no, you got to be there on time. Do this, and do this, and you'll be okay. Well, it's not like that. Also, to the older people, the managers, the journeyman, or whatever type of work you guys are doing, give credit to the young people. We have a big deficit here in the United States of labor, of workers. A lot of the young people, they don't want to, especially physical jobs, they're not interested in it. They can make more money on a computer, behind a computer, without a boss, without somebody yelling at them. They may not even be interested in that. Matter of fact, people are making, like in the trades, people are almost making as much in flipping burgers as they are as an apprentice in the trades. So it's really hard to keep an apprentice in the trade, especially if you're going to yell at them, not going to give them credit. Well, you're going to say, man, I'm making $15 here. I can make $14 over there in the shade. I'll see you later, man. I don't need your yelling at me for $1 an hour. You can have your job. So give them a shortcut, help them out. Don't make it hard on them. Give them the credit when credit's due. And if you're young, it takes time. Eventually, it becomes much, much easier. One day, you're going to be the 50-year-old using the younger generations to help you out. And if you can be a team, and if you can be knowledgeable enough to give them respect, I'm sure everybody's going to be good. I hope this message helps young people out, especially. Don't be discouraged. It is hard when you're younger. It doesn't become harder. It actually just becomes easier. Well, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day.